right, let's look at the other sets of games for today. This one is in these ones are in Group D, I believe it is, or Group C. Group C.
I don't know the
Group C, but we know that it's exciting there. Now, there is a group that contains Poland, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Argentina. Now, the state of play before all of this happens, Argentina are on 3 points. Okay? Poland are on 4. Saudi Arabia on 3. Mexico on 1. Meaning that in this group, any two can qualify, any two can go home. Guys, this is fascinating. Never did we think that round 3 of group games of this World Cup will have Argentina needing a win to make it.
Oh, don't necessarily.
Never did you think?
Well, never did I think.
Not necessarily, it's...
But all of us here, come on.
No, I thought it would be the other way around. I thought they would beat Saudi Arabia and struggle against Mexico and then have to beat Poland on the last.
They struggled against Mexico, but I thought it was on paper their easiest game after the Saudi Arabia game because Mexico are not a defensive team. Poland,
they are very expressive.
Poland are a team that can sit back and frustrate. I don't see Mexico doing that. And so what I feel the issue is now for Argentina is they've not had one good game this tournament. If we are being very honest, they've been poor. Saudi Arabia frustrated.
They had 2 moments against Mexico.
Yes, and if you look at the final XG of that game, and we'll come to it, terrible. It's just that the Mexicans were worse. Saudi Arabia was probably their best game, but they didn't take their chances, and they were easily frustrated. And Saudi Arabia were able to show their weaknesses to everybody. So when you look at Argentina going to this game against Poland, you are wondering where the quality is going to come from, because Poland are not going to open themselves up like the Mexicans comparatively. They are going to be a harder team to break down. And now, and we spoke about this before, when you have that advantage of not needing to lose, that all you have to do is keep your end of the bargain, don't lose. It's a lot less pressure than having to go for the win. And that's the thing. Argentina have had to go for the win in every game because of who they are. In their heads, because they are 2-time World Cup winners, they are the favorites of the group, they put in their heads they have to win the game. And like I said, statistically, they were unlucky in this game because Saudi Arabia winning with an XG of 0.3 or 0.2 or whatever. It's just terrible luck. But at the end of the day, they also didn't take their chances because there's no reason why Saudi Arabia's 3 shots, 2 should go in. That's on them. That's poor defensively in their own sense. So I watched them go into this game against Poland. I think it's the most difficult game. And it was already going to be difficult before anything. And now it's infinitely more difficult because they're in a position where they can't afford to slip up. They really can't. The only thing that's going for them is that because of the state of play of the group and the fact that no one else has, the Mexicans have really not done anything. Saudi Arabia also have 3 points. They could still get away with it depending on what happens, but it's not a good position to be in.
And just taking a leaf out of Susu's book, look at the numbers there.
Yeah, this is
Argentina against Mexico.
Yes, they won with an XG of 0.3.
Exactly. When I was watching that game, I didn't know how the goal was going to come.
Okay.
From both teams. I thought it was going to end goalless because it just lacked quality going forward. But they have Messi. And Messi can pull that sort of magic. Then Enzo Perez also came. Brilliant.
Look, 5 shots.
Look, in the back of the net. So for me, look, when I look at this Argentina team, they don't scare me.
Okay.
And I'm saying that based on the two games that we see. How many opportunities they create against Saudi Arabia? They struggle. They struggle to break down the Saudi defense. They struggle to break down the
But you know what confuses
me? Going into this game against a team that is resolute defensively, a team that can keep them at bay, and a team that also has quality going up top, I think they will struggle. I don't think it is fair to analyze the Saudi against Argentina game like the Saudis were or the Argentines were unlucky. No, they deserve to lose. Because next time also have the quality that in your next match you had the quality in terms of technique, and that's what you used to beat the Mexicans. So the same thing that the Saudis did, they relied on their technique going forward, and mistakes in the build-up, mistakes, and that's another thing I want to highlight. In that game against Mexico, there could have been another one of the sequences that we saw in the Saudi where Messi drops into midfield. He's not strong enough on the ball. He's dispossessed, and the Mexicans counted. But luckily for Argentina, there was no quality in that Mexican attack. But if you watch the winning goal the equalizer for Saudi Arabia, it came from a Lionel Messi mistake from the middle, crowded out by the defense, he loses the ball in the middle. They go on and they go to score. I think that is something that the Poles will look at because he doesn't run as much these days. He's not as athletic these days where he can pick the ball and dance around two, three men. No. He's the sort of guy that his every move is calculated and he's so smart and intelligent with his movement. So you don't necessarily need to crowd him out all the time, but you need to be wary when he's approaching the box, like what Mexico failed to do. When he's approaching the box, when he's around the D, you need to have somebody who is watching him. Because once you are able to do that, Argentina can score. They can't.
Wow.
And to add to something, there's two other things that make this game difficult. Per the post-shot XG. So this is measuring where a shot on target goes. Wojciech Szczesny has the best post-shot XG in the tournament so far. So he's statistically the best keeper in the tournament so far. And if you are struggling to create chances, your best chance so far has been a penalty. Aside that you are struggling for open play, and there we have it. So he's prevented 3.1 goals per the stats. That's going to be difficult for them. Yeah, that's going to be difficult because Argentina are also not creating chances. It means it's going to take something extraordinary to beat it because he's not considered a goal this tournament, and there's a reason for that. So I look at Argentina, and that's why I say they could easily go home, and I won't be surprised. But what shocks me is how they went 30 games unbeaten. So is it that something has started going wrong at this World Cup, or somehow they played like this for 30 games and won? Because
probably no team took advantage.
Yeah, it's not, because it's really not adding up to me that they were somehow playing like this for 30 games.
A draw could be enough for Argentina.
Yes,
possibly. A draw could be enough.
No, that is true, but it also depends on
what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
The other game. That is all of a sudden.
Honestly, when I look at
Saudi Arabia don't win.
And when I look at the Saudis, I think the Saudis are very adaptable, tactically competent, and flexible. And when I look at Mexico have not offered anything this tournament. They've been very disappointing. We always say, we know Mexico. Every round of 16, they are there. It looks like this year it won't be the case. And it looks like I look at them right now. I think the Saudis will knock them out. I think the Saudis can win that game very easily because the Saudis played very well against Poland as well. The Saudis have not had a bad game this tournament for me.
They should have scored. They should have. They should have.
So for me, when I look at Mexico, what have Mexico offered in this World Cup? Nothing. But that's the thing. We said the same time about Ecuador. Like Ecuador have been great, and then on the last day they just didn't turn up. So anything can happen in this group. And when I look at it, it could very easily go. Argentina and Mexico both pull out wins from nowhere. They have a moment of magic and get the win. Because with Argentina, that's very likely with Lionel Messi. It can happen.
And with Poland too, it's very likely with Robert Lewandowski.
I disagree. I believe Lewandowski is more of a, you need to give him service. And Poland have not really given him service.
They are yet to concede. He has scored a goal.
We'll see.
He scored one, but we spoke about it in the Mexico game. There was no service. And they are just scored. Don't worry. But
no, you see, Lewandowski is now like Cristiano Ronaldo, means that if you don't supply him, he can't score. But he doesn't need the perfect chance to score. That's the thing. We saw the polls against Saudi Arabia. The Saudis dominated that first half. But against the run of play, they were able to get a quick goal. And that's how it is. Argentina haven't... And I'm saying, let's analyze the Argentina that we've seen at this competition. They are struggling, and they are struggling to deal with the pressure also. Luckily for them, they had Messi in that team against Mexico. That's why... Yes, Enzo Perez's goal was brilliant, but that Messi goal, had it not come, I don't think they would have won the game. Because you could tell they were frustrated. The ideas are lacking. They don't have enough runners moving in and trying to create space. And for this Polish defense, it is what they want. Once they are sitting there and you don't have players who are trying to move around the defense and create space for Messi to pick a pass, it's not going to happen. And they are so well drilled. I'm sure they've watched the game against Mexico and they've watched the movement of Lionel Messi and how dangerous he is outside the box, just around that 18 area. So if they're able to deal with that, I honestly don't see why Lewandowski and the Poles with Zielinski and co can't create one or two opportunities. Because trust me, they don't need more than one goal to beat Argentina. And if you don't need more than one goal to beat Argentina, you don't need to create a perfect tapping opportunity for Lewandowski. No, a half chance is decent enough for him to put the ball in.
It was more so that the Saudis miscontrolled the ball and he scored. You get what I'm saying? I don't disagree, but I'm saying that from what we've seen, Poland have not even given Lewan, they've given him maybe 1 or 2 opportunities the whole tournament. They've really struggled with that, and that's why I don't want to rely on that. I agree with you.
I perfectly understand your point, but I'm saying, look, Lewandowski, Messi, Ronaldo, you don't analyze them in the ideal situation. That's why they have them. I can equally say Argentina will not be able to score in this game, per what we've seen throughout the competition. But they have Messi, so you need to factor that in. Poland have Lewandowski. Yes, he's missed the penalty. It doesn't matter. But he's shown you that anything can happen. It's a game of 90 minutes. And once you make the slightest mistake, he has the ability to capitalize and score. He was their top scorer in qualifying. They don't create a lot of chances. But they also know that they don't need to create an XG of 1.0. No. They just need that tiny opportunity. That's it. And Argentina have shown that they have that tendency to concede that sort of opportunity. And if that happens, let
me put it this way. If Argentina don't score today, I won't be surprised based on what I've seen. But at the same time, knowing that Messi is playing, it's difficult for me to say they will keep a clean sheet. And it goes similarly for Poland. It's just that because Messi is a bit more able to create some of these things from nothing than Lewandowski. And we know Poland, they're just going to give it to Szczesny. And we spoke about this the last time. He's receiving more passes from Szczesny than any other player. It's a very difficult, if you're talking about creating chances, it's a very difficult way to continue to create chances. And that's the only reason I'm less high on Poland's chance creation. But like Daniel said, if Lewandowski just gets one opportunity in the box, and he takes that touch and shoots. And with all due respect to Emi Martinez, he's not that good either. So there's all these things that are playing that make it difficult. But I just look at Argentina and see them more likely to score. But more likely does not mean they will. And that more likely is not even that high. Because I just don't trust both teams to create a lot of chances. Okay. I expect another because if you look at the Mexico-Argentina game, a combined XG of 0.6. Yet somehow Argentina got 2 goals. I won't be surprised if we get something similar in this Poland-Argentina game. That's how I
get a goalless draw and then Saudi
and then Saudi wins and then we are okay, all right.
You have to look at goal difference.
If Saudi win and Poland draw, Saudi will qualify. Saudi has 6 points.
Poland will get 5 and Argentina go home. All right, let's talk a bit about Angel Di Maria. He's supposed to be Lionel Messi's lieutenant, the other guy who can make big things happen there. And some of the Opta stats.
So from the first 2 matches, he had the most take-ons completed. And you can see he's focused on the right. So it looks like he's been given the right answer. And Messi's in the center. But look at something very interesting about those take-ons. They're a bit far from the box. We are not seeing him getting close to the box and making things happen because teams know that they can sit back. Argentina don't have runners. Argentina don't have penetration. So his
success rate of the take-ons is also problematic.
Yes, and it's because he's lost that bit of pace. But he's trying. Let's not get wrong. He's trying, but that lack of burst, and it's symptomatic of the whole Argentinian front line. And you wonder why someone like Dybala, who's a bit more sparkly, a bit younger, won't play. And interesting enough, Dybala could have played for Poland. So we can call it the Dybala derby.
Wow.
If you think so. But
Paulo Dybala?
Yes, he could have played for Poland.
Why is he not playing?
I don't know.
Look, this is when they need somebody like him.
Somebody who provides a different threat.
Argentina have been stubborn for over the years. I perfectly understand why he doesn't play because his style is almost like Messi. He also wants to demand the ball. He has to drop deep, have a feel of the ball. But I feel you can give him a certain role that will complement this team. He doesn't necessarily need to play in Messi's position. But he's younger, he has a better burst of pace, and he offers some different dynamic going forward. And I think this is when they need more players who have the ability to go past people in this team and create something. And they just don't have that.
My thing about Dybala, and I say this all the time, is Dybala is an amazing player. But the point in Dybala is he can only play one way. And I feel like a lot of teams, that's why even Juventus have moved away from him. Because if you don't have a kind of striker ahead of him, he's not effective because he can't play that way. He's not that good on the wing. So that's the only way he can play.
He can only play like centrally.
Exactly. And it's very difficult if you have someone like Messi, who at this stage in his career can only also play centrally. Because if you put Dybala on the right, I believe you are wasting. I believe you only get 60, at best 70% of what Dybala can offer on the right. You can't play him up front because, again, you only get 60 or 70%. And that's a problem. And that's why I always say Dybala will never reach where he should have reached as a player. Because if you look at the skill set and the talent he has, he could have gone so much further. But if he had been able to play on the wing or play up front, he would have done so much better with his career, because very few teams have that number 10 position. They are going to, because once you buy Dybala, you kind of have to build the team around him.
Yeah.
And not every team, and to build the team around him is a risk. Because what's the guarantee you get where you are trying to go? And we saw it with Juventus building the team around him. He could score 20 goals, that kind of thing. But once Cristiano Ronaldo came and that attention shifted off him, his goals dried up. Ronaldo leaves and his goals pick up again. But then by that time, they decide that they want to build around Vlahovic and that kind of stuff. So I like Dybala as a player, but it will be very difficult to see where he can play in this team alongside Messi. And I think, in a way, Argentina are having the same problem that we are talking about Portugal having. It's just not being as publicized as much. That how do you kind of progress as a team when you have that Messi? Because as much as Messi offers, he also offers some problems tactically. His lack of pressing, his lack of movement. But I think because Messi has that kind of creation and scoring combo in him, it's almost like people are more likely like, okay, at least he creates something as well as scores. But when you see that Ronaldo, because Ronaldo is less creative, it becomes more like, if he doesn't score, what's his use? So Argentina having a similar problem. It's just not as pronounced, because you can always tell yourself at least Messi can create something. Else. But now you're looking at the other players around him. You need runners around Messi, and if you don't put runners there, there's no point having that Messi creation.
True.
Because you don't get any creativity if no one is running.
For me, I'll take the bold decision and start Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez. I'll do that.
Alvarez and Lautaro.
Look,
I agree.
Without Messi, without Messi.
Yeah. No, I'll play Messi also.
So Messi in the hole.
Messi in the hole, and I'll have Alvarez and Lautaro up
He
there.
can play Alvarez wide. He's done it before.
Yeah, he's done it before.
He can play wide. And that's the thing about
But I will not want to do that. Personally, I'll sacrifice Di Maria for this game.
Okay.
Because I feel, look, the Poles don't mind if you whip in crosses. They don't care. Because
physically they didn't have an advantage anyway.
So going to the wide areas, for me, and they don't have a tall striker to be able to do that. So it's either I will sacrifice Di Maria and play two strikers in Lautaro and Alvarez, who are very mobile, also have that ability to drop deep, can link up with Messi. Messi can take that position. Or I'll take out Rodrigo de Paul, who I think is wasting space offensively on that right. For me, I don't
understand how Rodrigo de Paul has become so bad. Because if you saw Man Udinese, this was one of the best midfielders in Syria. Yeah. He picked the ball up, he drive, he was always creating chances. Then now people are talking about him like he's just there to break legs. And it hurts me because
that's the Diego Simeone effect.
It hurts me because I thought Rodrigo de Paul was one of the best midfielders in Syria. I was so disappointed. I was very disappointed when he left the league, because I was hoping Inter Milan would pick him up and keep him in Syria, because he was a very exciting player to watch. And now he offers nothing, and it's like, is this the same player, or is it that Syria is that bad? You have to start asking yourself the question, because there's no reason why.
Diego Simeone is wiped out. He's wiped out the software and he's installed.
Simeone has the ability to kill your attacking instincts, and sometimes when you leave him, it's very difficult for you to think on your own. And I think that's what's happening with De Paul. And even the way he's deployed in that Argentina, I think honestly he's wasting space. They need something going for it. You can't always rely on Messi. Like, if Messi doesn't produce magic, then there's nothing. With the sort of attacking players you have, it is very unfair on Messi for it.
Don't you think that is almost helpless, really, on the part of whichever technical, because managers have tried all kinds of things. I remember they tried copying the Barca template. When they had Ezekiel Lavezzi and whoever, it didn't work. They've had all kinds of managers who have, simply because there's Messi in the team, they've tried to do different things.
This is the best time to manage Lionel Messi, because now he's limited. Now you know that he can only give you one thing. Yeah. He can't give you the things he used to do. So now you can simply tell him, demarcate an area for him. This is your zone. Don't go past this area. If you have defensive duties, these guys will cover up for you. That's what I'm saying, that it makes more sense, because of his style now and what age has done to him. It's taken away some of his attacking attributes. So you need more attackers in there to be able to do that. If Messi is playing, look at him at PSG. Neymar is always moving. Mbappe is always moving. There's constant movement around him, so he can see. He has 3 or 4, 5 options. Only Lautaro is running. So if you have Alvarez in there, up there, And Lautaro and Alvarez are very similar in terms of they are constantly on the move. Okay. They are constantly on the move, and that is what you.
What is great is that they are not like typical poachers in the sense that you lose something if they drop deep. Lautaro can, and that's what made Lautaro and Lukaku such a good partnership, because Lautaro can drop deep, help the midfield. He can run forward, and if Lukaku is pushing forward, he can assist him by running with him. He can drop deep and play the ball for Lukaku to go into. That's why the partnership works so well. So Lautaro is a great striker. My issue with Lautaro is sometimes his finishing is a bit iffy. He can disappoint you when you're expecting to hit the target, but that's not even been the issue here. How many chances has he really gotten? Aside those offside, he's not. He's
not getting chances because he's been isolated. And when you ask yourself, once this question has come, it also shows you that you are limiting Messi's ability to create. Because if Lautaro is not getting chances, it means the creative players are not doing enough. And that shows. Because Messi has scored or he produced that moment of magic, it has covered him in glory. But in terms of actually breaking defenses down with his intricate passing, he's not doing much because there's lack of movement up top, which needs to be addressed by Alvarez. Must start this game. If Alvarez doesn't start, I think they are playing right into the hands of the post. And for me, I like Lewandowski and Poland, so I want them.
Okay, all right.